What's up, guys? How you guys doing today? Happy New Year! So I'm at the bench this morning, and I was working on this quad right here. This is from Darwin FPV. And I think I showed you this on the last live stream, but Darwin sent us this Cine Ape 25, and it was PNP, so I had to go poach a receiver. That's okay. 3 wires to solder that up, but just wanted to kind of update you guys where I'm at with this one. I'm hoping to film this one today, and then it'll be on tomorrow. And I gotta say, if you missed today's video that was posted this morning, you gotta check that out. So, a video that I've been trying to do for 9 years. FPV acronyms and drone terms, slang. There's like 150 different acronyms that I did in a video format, and for text. You can see the full text transcript of the video and all the acronyms on dronecamps.com. It's going to be updated from time to time. Hey, how's it going, Nate, David? Welcome, Shadow. It's one of our moderators. So in other news, we have also updated, and we're no longer using Streamlabs. We're back to OBS. So right now, the camera that you see is the FaceTime cam on the iMac. And I don't know how laggy it is, but I'm assuming it's freaking laggy as usual. I'm on a fiber optic line here, and I'm getting about 200 megabyte upload speed. So however I can streamline this data to kind of just break it down and be faster, I'll try to work on that. So Luis and I also have our guest camera situation worked out as well. We've been working on that, and we completely abandoned Streamlabs. It was nothing but a pain in the ass. So we also started using Video Ninja, and we tested that. Within 30 minutes, we have something that I think is going to work. So when we have other guests, now we should be able to use this other service through OBS and have everything working for guests. We have some guests coming up on the channel next week, and on Friday we're going to have Luis. If Luis wants to try to patch in right now, we could even try to do that right now, because right now it's all about just hanging out at the bench and doing some stuff together. I know you guys have wanted to do some Betaflight, and we also have that set up right here, so we can do Betaflight, some bench cam work, and just hang, have some coffee, do some setup. Also some radio work for setting up some switches for guys who want to see that. I thought this would be pretty helpful for some of you guys who are just kind of setting up your first drones. Yeah, you know, Shadow, I pay for Streamlabs, and I paid a lot of money to be able to use that. So it's just one less subscription I'm going to have to deal with. And, you know, the new version of OBS Studio is actually pretty freaking good. I'm happy with it. And, you know, I said today in my acronyms video, I feel like the drone community, in my heart, should be open source. And a lot of the stuff we use is all open source, including Betaflight. So Betaflight, OBS, let's keep it all open source. I just have to pay for all my video gear. That expense never goes away. I'm constantly buying new mics. I don't know what to deal with this mics. This brand new mic that I have right now, there's one thing I don't like about that. It has an old school USB connection in the bottom of it, and I'm not sure why $125 mic, which is not that expensive in the realm of mics, but I think it sounds pretty good, but it has a USB, like Android style connector in the bottom, and it wiggles. So that's not good in the video world when stuff wiggles. I need a solid connection. I have a mixing board over there, but it's temperamental with the Mac OS software. So yeah, it's a fight. It's a constant fight. It's a fight technology to try to get content out and do it properly and have it look professional. So let's do this. Let's do a little Darwin FPV setup here. Yeah, Luis, that's quite a bit of controversy. So I've got a USB cable connected here to our bench cam, and okay, this will be in the review tomorrow. I'm going to add this information in the review, but I got annoyed this morning. You might notice that the Ape 25 is sitting here on the bench, and check what's not on the Ape. I had to take the prop guards off to get to the USB port. That pissed me off. I also had to remove this bottom plate, which is where the VTX resides underneath here. And when I did that, it popped off the UFL connector, so I had to put that back on. And I also tried, before I took the prop guards off, I tried to use like a 90-degree USB connector here, and I have a whole pile of them over here. They're different lengths. Some of them taller, some of them shorter. I even have one for USB-C, but the frame is so tight right here that I couldn't get any of those to fit without it hitting the frame. So that kind of sucks. But the good news is about a crappy situation is that it's only 3 bolts to take these off. So only 3 bolts are holding on these prop guards. 1 back here in the back, 2 in the front, and then, well, I guess more because you have 4 here in the middle. But that moves that center plate. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 different ones. And let's see. Let's see how everything looks in Betaflight. Let's move over to Betaflight real quick, shall we? It's upside down on the bench. Well, Betaflight's no longer supporting FreeSky SPI receivers in future release. Wow. So the quad we have on the bench today, this is the Darwin FPV Sena Ape 25. It's a brand new quad that's coming out. It's another Sena Whoop. And this one happens to be an analog one. So you analog guys can rejoice. There's going to be a new analog quad review coming out tomorrow. So this one will also carry a full-size GoPro, which is cool. 2.5 inch props. It has a full-size GoPro mount on the front. So we're connected to Betaflight. The first thing you want to do is just go to the setup and flip your quad over and have it facing away from you. And then once you do that, you want to click on Reset Z-axis. Okay, as it Reset Z-axis will spin the quad around with the rear facing you, and then you can check your orientations. So I'm not going to do a full Betaflight tutorial today, but that will show you your quad's direction, your flight controller status. And if your flight controller is off by any degrees, it'll show that right here. And then you can go into config and you can change the offset for the flight controller. But we're not going to need to do that. There's my Streamlabs bot coming in there. We're going to have to change the name of that bot. But yes, we would like super chat donations. That'd be awesome. Appreciate that. Mr. JRC asks, what's the latest version of Betaflight? Right now, I'm not totally sure. But I have 10.8 here. firmware 4.3.1. It's been a little while since I updated, but sometimes if it's not broke, don't fix it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, whenever I get a new binding fly, I always go into the ports first, and I want to kind of see where things are, where they have possibly the smart audio activated in the peripherals here. There's a drop-down list, and you can change that to TBS Smart Audio or IRC Tramp. This one appears to have TBS Smart Audio, so that's fine. We're going to leave that. And then it looks like the receiver's set up on 0RX on UART1. So that means that we have an S-Bus configuration, and we could go down to the receiver tab here. My radio's not on, but we're going to go ahead and turn that on and see if we get some channel maps moving here. So let's go back to the bench cam, and once the radio's on, you should see some channel maps start moving. Now I've already bounded up. That's pretty easy to do. So we just go back to Betaflight, see if we have any channel maps, and it appears that we do. So that's good. So wish we could split screen here, but if you move the left stick, which is the rudder, left and right on the yaw axis, it should go all the way over. It should go left and right, exactly how it is on your sticks. Now up and down for throttle, that's good. Now let's check the ailerons. So aileron is on the roll channel, left and right. Now pitch is up and down on the right stick. It looks good. All the directions are good, and all the switches are set up, so all the switches are working. Now next thing we need to do is we need to go down to modes, and we're just going to set up some modes here. I'm going to set up some real simple modes on this. This is the way they have it set up in stock, and I don't like this at all. And so what I do is I scooch the arm switch activation way over. It's only a 2-position switch, so I don't need to do this, but I'm kind of picky. So that won't really take effect until you press save. So press save here. Yup. So that's good. And I can test that. And Betaflight, to my knowledge, won't arm the quad on the bench once it's plugged into USB. And so for some weird reason, Darwin FPV has aux1 and aux1 on the angle and the arm channel. You don't want your flight mode on the same switch as your freaking arm switch. That's ridiculous. So we're going to switch that to aux2. And if you want to see which aux your switches are on, guys, you go to the receiver tab, flip back over here, and just flip the switch that you think would be aux2. So what I think is aux2 is this switch right here. So that's working, okay? And then you're going to go back to switches, to modes, and we're just going to check that again, okay? And I'm going to slide this over a little bit. I want this over here. So I want to take off an angle mode, and then I want to switch out of that. Once I switch out, then I'm going to be in acro mode. So save that. We're going to test that. And you can see when it's not active, it's not highlighted. So that's pretty cool. So now we have acro, we have angle mode, and we have the arm switch set up. I could add turtle mode on here, but let's see. I hardly ever use horizon mode. If you're brand new, you can do that. But that's looking good. Yeah, try not to use Betaflight that's it's kind of still in beta, so to speak. It's all still in beta. I do want a beeper on here, so that's on aux3, and I believe it's let's see. Okay, that's working. That's cool. And that's on a 3-position switch. I'm going to scooch that over a little bit. I'm just going to test that again. Cool. And that's right next to my flight mode switch. It's looking good. And turtle mode should be down here. That's called flip over after crash. And I'm going to go ahead and add that on there. I'm going to put that on aux 4. And let's test that. Yep. And so here's the thing. None of this will work if you're watching this for the first time. You're watching Betaflight moving around and my switch is working. If you use an Edge TX or OpenTX and you guys are trying to set up switches and you don't see anything moving here, there's a bunch of different reasons why it could not be moving. It could be that you don't have your receiver working inside Betaflight. Nothing's moving in your channel maps, so obviously it would not be working. Or maybe you have the wrong port selected. Or, additionally, the list goes on, you may not have the right type of receiver selected. You could have S-Bus. I'm also going to change, since we're using turtle mode, the arming maximum arm angle to 180. So if you don't have that 180 and it's set to 25, you won't be able to turtle mode because the flight controller won't arm once it's past 25 degrees. So we don't want to do that. Now we're going to go back in. So we now have it set to 180, so it should turtle mode. And you have to disarm, press turtle mode, and then throttle back up, but rearm and throttle back up. So yeah. Got honeydews, bro. Luis got honeydews. I get that. I was cleaning out gutters a couple days ago. Up on a ladder after I did live stream. So now we have turtle mode. We have a beeper that's working. And we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 auxes. Okay, so that's good enough. You normally don't need more than like 3 to 4 switches to run any FPV race quad. Sometimes I only do 1 switch, arm, and I just go full acro. I leave angle out of it. I just take off an acro. If this is not active or horizon, you're just going to be an acro. So let's just check the version that's on this flight controller. If you go to the CLI, you can type in simply version, and that will give you what version's on here. STM32F411, so F4 flight controller, 2022 firmware. And Betaflight 4.3.1. So if you want to get more information, you want to save what you've done in your setup, type dump, and I'll give you all the resources on your flight controller. So once you do that, you can copy it to the clipboard. You can save it to a file. I would always save a backup to file in case you need to reflash. You can also do that. One other thing you need to do is just be aware of which direction your props are going. If you crash and you break all of the, say you break all the props off of a motor, I've done that before. So all these props broken off, and all I have is a hub left. And I had situations, I guess, not nowadays, because these are much stronger than the old props, where I was like, oh crap, now I got to go back to Betaflight and figure out which motor direction's happening here. So when you get a brand new quad, 2 things to do. Check motor direction. Also go over the whole thing with a driver. Make sure all these bolts are tight. Maybe use some blue Loctite on your motor bolts, because super important. And to check which motor direction you're on, just go to motors. And now this information used to be over on the configuration page. I kind of preferred that, but I know they're kind of trying to clean up Betaflight a little bit and put things in proper tabs. So this one's running D-Shot, It's not BLHeli32 ESCs. And Luis, I appreciate you helping out my man the other day. He had a problem with his quad. Wasn't arming. You guys switched on the ESC sensor for BLHeli32, which he obviously had BLHeli32 ESCs, and now it works. So he sent me a message saying thank you to the channel. So we're here to help you guys. Always. So motor direction is right here on the screen. We have a standard right turn rear setup here. So first thing I do, let me go ahead and save in Betaflight here. Make sure everything's good. Another reason why your sticks or channel maps might not be working is that you might not have switches active in your radio, and that's a whole other thing inside the model menu. But most of you guys know that by now. The good thing about this frame is that it's not overly complicated. So if this is your first Cinewhoop, this is a good first Cinewhoop for a lot of people. Mainly because it's pretty damn simple, but also it's cheap. Darwin FPV stuff is super cheap. So I'm just giving these bolts another tighten here, because especially on the motor side, where the motor's mounted to the frame. Two things to most importantly tighten: freaking prop nuts, bolts, and the base going through the frame. So just go over all 4 of these bolts on each motor. Takes a little bit of time, but you might not have a disaster later. And I was able to get 3 turns out of that bolt. A couple turns that one. So all these are fairly loose from the factory. 2 turns on that one. 1, 2, 3 turns on that one. So yeah, this will screw you over right here if you don't have this stuff tightened down. Most important thing about any Chinese quad setup, or even stuff you got domestically, just not always ready to fly tight when you get it. Kind of sucks, but that's the way it is. It's been that way since I was flying RC helis. And honestly, it's a good idea to check these bolts every few flights. Seems kind of annoying, but it's just maintenance. If you fly the same quad all the time, it's super important. So now I need to secure this receiver somewhere, figure out what I'm going to do with these antennas. Probably stick a little VHB under that. And this quad can run 4S, so I'm pretty stoked on that. Gonna make sure that pesky UFL's on there. I wish this was MMCX. I do prefer that, but you got a push button there for power. And that's pretty tight in there. I got some super long bolts going through here to meet these posts. Also, to make it through this frame, this has to come through here and out. And then, do I have this backwards? Yeah. Okay. 2 bolts in the front, 1 in the back. It also came with some 3M bumpers that I put on here. They were in the box. It goes all the way around. Actually, give you a little extra room back here, so I had to trim this where they come together. Absolutely. Got to keep all your stuff tight. Tight. Keep it tight. That's the accent from where I'm from. Tight. Keep it tight. On the coast of North Carolina, where the Irish and English dialect still survives. The old school island folks speak with Carolina brogue, they call it. There's a high tide on the sound side. So whenever I'm watching like an English movie or something like that, and I'm hearing these guys speak with their English accents, it reminds me of like my granddad and his friends. It's so weird. Like, if you watch a movie with any English accent, you'll hear North Carolina brogue. It's so weird. Hundreds of years later, it still exists in America. The Hoy-Toyders. They call us the Hoy-Toyders. And the sound we're talking about, it's the Pamlico sound, East Coast. Alright, almost got this baby back together. No, not that one. That's a freaking 4 mil. This is a 2 mil. This quad has all 2 mil hardware on here. I'm not really getting a not getting a flush prop guard set up here. I don't know why this is not going flush. Never force anything in this hobby. Take your time. Try to force stuff, especially with this hardware. This 2 mil hardware strip's really easy. I need to get a proper seat going here. Alright, what the hell's going on here? Come on. These prop guards are annoying on pretty much every Cinewhoop. But it's me. I've got something wrong here. It's my fault. Can't blame the quad. Everybody always blames the gear. It looks like it's flush. So weird. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's upside down. Again, my fault. Not the quad's fault. Let's flip that over. Just gotta be patient with this stuff. Oh god, the UFL connector came off. No, okay, I'm good. So it's funny, by the time I was a senior in college, I'd be sitting in the computer labs. And by your senior year, working 4 years with computers, you're pretty much used to, you know, having to be patient. I remember one day I was sitting in class and in the lab, and this kind of new guy was in there. He was having problems. Man, he was throwing a fit. Dude was losing his freaking mind. I'm pretty sure he doesn't work with computers anymore. You have to have extreme patience with this shit. Quads too. People get all flustered. They get all freaked out when something doesn't work out. And then if you just step back and think about something, you're like, oh yeah. Huh. That's what I needed to do. Case in point, my prop guards being upside down. It wasn't quad's fault, Justin's fault. But it's never a woman's fault. Am I right? Alright. For sure. And then people get crazy when they when they have an error, when they're putting something back together. And then people do the craziest stuff. They'll like force stuff back together to where they got the wrong bolts, different places, and just they slam stuff back together. And then you've got stuff uneven. And then you get weird, you get super weird vibrations or some complete failure happening. And then people blame it. They blame it on the company. So right there, I think, let's see, that's right. Yeah, they blame it on iFlight, they blame it on Gap RC. Uh, and that's why all those companies are pretty defensive. Anytime you come at them, and you're like, hey, this is not working. They have to really dig into what the problem is and find out basically what you've done. It's a mystery. Hell, it's a mystery to me most of the time what the hell I'm doing, right? Yeah, wires, little miniature JST harnesses. Dude, stuff can get broken so easily in this hobby if you're not patient. And it appears that I'm missing one bolt, one up front here. It may have fallen to the carpet of nothingness. I think in the Neverending Store there was something about the nothing. And this carpet that I'm standing on is the nothing. I need to have like a bench mat under me, like maybe something that's a light color so I can see no pattern. But now she'll fly. I've got some more 2mm bolts. I probably have some in this box. No. But another thing in this hobby, never throw anything away. All your hardware, keep it, save it. I don't care what it is. Little tiny plastic washers. Keep all that stuff sorted out. Put it in little bins. Go to Harbor Freight and get yourself one of those. They have great little individual toolbox things for like screws and small stuff. And if you've ever dropped one of those little trays of screws or bolts, which I've done before, that sucks. Especially 2mm. 2mm is really hard to find when you drop all of them on the ground. Yeah, it depends, Shadow, a lot on how you approach the company. You know, if you come at them, you're mad. I have to deal with the same thing with my Airbnb, my house that I rent out. You know, I had someone the other day stay at my Airbnb, and I don't know if they're from Jersey or New York, but they come down to North Carolina with different expectations. And, you know, they get to a small town, they rented my house, and I think they expected it to be like Hilton Head. If you've ever been to Hilton Head, it's pretty gorgeous. It's a resort, but Cape Hatteras is also a resort. And, man, these guys complained about everything. They even complained about seeing someone pulled over on the side of the road by the cops getting a ticket. I have no control over that. That has nothing to do with my Airbnb. And also my neighbor, he has a dilapidated like trailer that's not in use in the way far back of his property. And then next to that, the next lot over has a little trailer that some guy rents and lives in. And they basically said they wanted a full refund because I didn't disclose what the neighborhood was like. But, you know, people aren't running up and down the street shooting and breaking into their Mercedes out front. They had like a $100,000 Mercedes sitting in my driveway. And another thing they said, they saw someone down the street at the RV camp, which is basically a campground. So there's little trailers there. These people were burning wood in a burn barrel. It was over, you know, New Year's weekend. And they were having a little fire outside. And in my county, you actually, if you want to have a fire in your yard, they require you have a burn barrel, and then it becomes legal. And a burn barrel is like a big steel industrial barrel, and that keeps us from having ash blowing into the woods and starting forest fires. So they allow us to do some burns of debris, and they might have had cleaned up their yard and been burning debris, but I'm like, dudes, you're upset because some people are having a bonfire. Go back to wherever you're from. It's ridiculous. It's like class discrimination. It's discrimination against the people of a certain class. They live in a dilapidated trailer, was her comments. When they went on a walk with their little poodle, which they claimed was a service dog. Some bullshit. Service dog, my ass. You get a piece of paper nowadays for your dog and take it anywhere you want. Dude, I mean, I lived in New York City, and I worked in New York City. I worked at Showtime Networks in the Paramount Building, Times Square. Went next door to MTV, ate lunch with people like Carson Daly back when he was doing TRL. Hung out in MTV Studios, overlooking Times Square. It's beautiful. But I'm also from a small town. But where I'm from is a resort status. Now, we've been kind of upgraded for, I don't know, maybe a decade. The expectations they come down with, though, is crazy. They were like, we drove 9 hours for this. It's not my problem how far you drove, bro. Not my problem. You could drive 15 hours. If you rent something, it's your responsibility to show up. And then she complained about our bathroom window. Our bathroom window is about this big. And it's kind of like an airplane window. It's basically just to let some light in the bathroom so that there is some light. There used to be a larger window there, and we have high wind on the island, so I closed it in with a window that can't be opened. But it's also about 6 to 7 feet off the ground, and it's not facing the street. It's facing the woods, and it's an empty lot next to me. There's no one there, and it's completely wooded down that whole side of the property. And this lady says, it could be peeping toms. Could be. No one's looking in the window, lady. Especially not at you. Don't flatter yourself. People are crazy. They come down there, and you drive for an hour, and the more you drive, the more remote it gets. So by the time they get to Buxton, North Carolina, it's like you're back in the 70s. And it's chill. It's laid back. I'm a super host on Airbnb. People love my house. But these are the first people that, she wrote like a giant list of complaints. And they were all outside the property except for that bathroom window thing. She saw people pulled over. She saw dilapidated trailers. Is there a town in America without trailer? That's discrimination. I should write up a report about race, or not race, but class discrimination, but I'm not going to do that. I knew when I saw that car in the driveway, I thought, oh God, here we go. And then after all that, I did have to get her a partial refund because she was threatening like legal action and recalling it on her Amex, because everybody that wants to get a free vacation these days, they'll put their vacation stuff on American Express so they can get a refund. Such a ripoff. It's a scam is what it is. But let me know in the chat how this camera is. So at this point, guys, we're about set to, I need to get a little VHB and strap this receiver down in the back. I got just enough length here to put this down. If you buy one of these, take note, there's a little wire. It has a plug on it that comes out the back right here, and that's going to be your receiver wire. It's a 3-wire setup, so if you want to add crossfire, this is not the wires for that. You can add an extra wire to that setup. You should be able to put crossfire on here. But I don't think this quad has a lot of UARTs. I'm pretty sure it has enough, though. Now I can't get back inside Betaflight, so if I need to make any changes at this point, I'm screwed. Somebody was spamming with all caps. Coffee and drones. All right, let's hook up a battery here. I better put that receiver down before I take off. It also came with 2 battery straps. There's another slot here. You can have 2 battery straps on here. So some people like that. All right, let me grab some VHB. VHB is what you want to use to put down your receivers. But you gotta love some complainers. I'm not sure if you guys have any rentals, but people can be crazy. All right. Can't find my snips. This is the VHB we're going to use to put that receiver down. So what are you guys up to today? What are you guys working on? Yeah, center whoops can be something to work on. But again, this hobby, you got to be patient. I still think my favorite thing to work on is probably a 7-inch. And it's the same thing like when I was doing RC helis. I preferred working on the big copters. And so that's mostly why I flew T-Rex 700. Because the bolts were huge. 3M bolts, M3s. And M3s strip a lot less than these M2 bolts. So the driver's big. I mean, hell, we even had, I think we had some M4 bolts on a lot of the rotor heads were M4s. And the blade, I'm talking about the blade grip bolt. It's usually about that long. And you tighten them up so the blades just kind of barely fall down when you turn them on horizontal axis. It'd be nice. It'd be nice if they had Bluetooth on all these flight controllers. I could have set this up pretty quick with my phone. But I do have right here one of the CBDB Betaflight connectors. You can get these, and if I could plug this huge thing in and power it up, I could just use my phone because it's got a little Bluetooth right there. Pretty sweet. And they have multiple versions of these. This is an older one, probably from maybe 2 years ago, from SpeedyBee. These are great to have in the field. You can literally plug a battery straight into this. I need to look at the specs and see what the step-down regulator is. There's a little bit of a cap on how long of a message you can send, so break up your messages into shorter sentences. We also have a thing right now where people can't post links because we had some sexy XXX girls users coming in here and dropping links to their sex sites. I don't know if that can demonetize one of my streams, but got to keep those guys out. Got to find these snips. All right. I mentioned in my video, only place could fit it was blocking the OS03 USB-C port. Yeah, it's a pretty tight fit in that Cinnabot. Pretty tight, but there is room in there to get a receiver in there. Found my snips. So we're going to snip off a little bit of VHB here. If you guys don't know about this stuff, 3M VHB, go get it at Home Depot. Do not get the extreme kind, it sucks. The original VHB from Scotch is much better than whatever their extreme one they call it, in quotations, extreme. The extreme sucks. This one's more tacky. So somehow figure out a way to probably use less adhesive and call it something extreme and try to get better sales, which anybody with a brain is not going to go for. So I don't see XJet in the chat today. Bruce must be sleeping on New Zealand time. Bruce got upset that somebody banned him a couple weeks ago. Of course, we wouldn't purposely ban Bruce. He recently put up a video about Rotor Riot. Saw that this morning when I woke up. Something to do with the FAA and Rotor Riot's quads that they're selling. Not being remote ID compliant. You know, at this point, it's not the consumer's responsibility to be compliant with O3 or the remote ID. Jesus, I got O3 in the brain. It's the manufacturer's responsibility at this point. So they have a disclaimer at the bottom of the page stating that you're not allowed to fly their bind fly inside the continental United States. So apparently if you buy this, you're supposed to fly it in France. I don't know. Because it doesn't come with remote ID, but I know all you guys are not really like itching at, scratching at the bit to get your remote ID on everything you own. Most of us don't even know where to get it at this point. All right, so there's that receiver. It's looking good. Bing bong. Now, let's do a little testy here. Yeah. Paulino, I just saw it. I was looking down at the bench working on this receiver setup. Apologize about that. But yes, this is Darwin FPV's Cine Ape 25. We're going to review this on the channel tomorrow. I'm going to give you my thoughts and comments on this one. We're also going to do a flight test. If Mrs. Camps vacates the premises, we might do some indoor flying. They don't ship out of the U.S. I always thought that Rotoraya was a domestic U.S. company. I don't know. Unless they started shipping out of Hong Kong. But this quad looks simple. Darwin FPV's finally released a Cinewhoop. It appears similar to the Avata frame with this sort of stretch top plate. It's not a true X. See how much stretch it has? Almost a true X, just stretched a tiny bit. So it gives you a little more length in the body, and I think that's what they're trying to do, to be able to offset this battery and get a GoPro on there. So I'd be sitting on top of my receiver a little bit, and let's just see how the GoPro fits. I love that the new GoPro has a built-in posts that fold out. This is a 10, so this should fit right on there. And maybe they gave us a bolt that can hold this baby on there. But this seems like a small quad to tote like a full-size GoPro. I think that this would be better suited to the Bones or a decased GoPro. Because look at that. It's freaking huge. But I got plenty of room back there. It's not even touching the GoPro. Look at that. With the angle that I want to fly, I still have that much room. That's pretty good. And that's because of this extended frame. So I can actually scooch my battery back to where it was and not be stomping on top of my receiver back there. So I got enough room for the receiver running long ways, 1100 milliamp 4S battery, and my 10 sitting there. It's not bad. That's pretty good. I don't feel like things are totally crammed. There's even still a little bit of space there. I get a little more tilt if I wanted to. But that's about what I'm going to fly. I think that looks pretty good. We'll see how much flight time I get with a 10 on here. I'm probably going to get like 2.5 minutes flight time. 1100 should, I'm hoping, get me a little over 3 minutes. But if you do decased on here, which is 100% the way to go, we should be able to get like 8 to 9 to 10 minutes with a 4S 1100. They suggest an 850, but 9 times out of 10, guys, I never go with suggested manufacturer battery size. Just not really something we do. Most experienced pilots do. We skirt around what they tell us to do, because that's what we do. We're DIY guys. Test it. If it works, fly it. Let's check out the weight on that Darwin. Now, total takeoff weight, the way I have it's going to be over 250 grams. If you want to get it under 250 grams, take that GoPro off there. That can't be right. 80 grams. What the hell? All right. Let me turn this thing off. My scale may have lost its mind. Let's just test the GoPro first. 36 grams? What? I think my scale's crazy. 53 grams. 52. Wow. Something's wrong here. Yeah, now it's just sitting on the bench and it says 214 grams. I believe this scale is broken. I have another smaller one somewhere, but it may be because this thing's been sitting on the shop floor for months. I'm just going to turn it off again. Something's screwy there. But I paid about $40 for the scale, so now it says 0, so I don't know. 65 grams. Seems more believable. GoPro, 154. Now you're working. Okay. So without a battery, let's check it out. Battery and receiver, we're looking at around a little over 100. I'd say 154. Now with 4S 1100. Now that's under 250 grams. You want to fly it like that? If you want to get it under 250, use a decased cam with something like a 550, 4S 550 milliamp. That'll keep you under 250, I believe. That's what I'm going to suggest there. If you're not worried about 250, just going to fly it, you don't have FAA care and neighbor, then put all this gear on there. And then you're looking at 400 grams. 498. Yeah, Thumb Pro. That's what should be on this quad. I've got that sitting on the Cinnabot right now. Yeah, the uneven surface may have done it, Luis. Sitting on my silicone mat. I tried to jiff it. Didn't work. No jiffy. That looks pretty good, though. You guys see the carpet of nothing down there? That's nothing land. You drop any bolt on that carpet, it disappears. I hate this carpet. I just need one little, like, piece of carpet right here under the bench. This is like it's great for Dave Matthews at a concert maybe to stand on, but not for quads. Coffee and drones. So hopefully somebody learned something today in this sort of podcast we're doing. So what do you guys think about this little quad? Not sure what the retail is on this one. I hope it's not like 200 bucks for an analog version. Man, the prices are so high right now. Let's look up Darwin FPV on the browser. I'm going to try to find a price on this quad for you while I have you guys here. Everything's super laggy today on my computer. I don't know why. I need to max out this iMac with some serious RAM. Pop Midnight, your message got deleted, bro, for some reason. You were timed out for 30 seconds. Long message. Watch your long messages, guys. Under 200 characters, I believe. Bardwell streams about the same way. Set up the same way. It's hard for streamers to be able to read super long messages, so that's why we kind of limit how long messages could be. Because a lot of times we're looking at the bench, we're working on something, we glance up to see who's saying what. If the comment's super long, it's super hard to read it. So just break them up. So yeah, let's check out the price on this. See if I can find you a price. Okay, Darwin FPV. What you got? What you got? This is the Cine Ape 25. It says long endurance, powerful, safe, and reliable. I hate that thing that pops up on their website, spin to win. It pisses me off. All right. It's good for you, Mike. You do a discount of some sort. Okay, so let's check this out. Let's see. Darwin FPV, Cine Ape 25, Cinematic Whoop FPV drone. Looking pretty good, guys. $192.99 for the analog version. They have a walk snail version, Avatar Mini. That's cool. Walk snail, if you're listening, please send me a set of goggles for God's sake. Cine Ape 25 Runcam Falcon Nano HD version will come soon. Runcam Falcon Nano HD. Interesting. You guys heard of that Falcon Nano? R81 receiver here, 2.4 ELRS, or none. Let's see how much none cost you. That's what I got. I got the PNP version. They're suggesting 4S A50. So you can also get extra packs of propellers. Oh, look, they're doing their own batteries here. That's kind of cool. It's got a Mad Ape on there with FPV goggles. Why didn't you guys send me any batteries, bros? Come on. God. Give me some freaking I need some new batteries. Seriously. I'm using some busted up, broken ass tattoos from like, they're at least a year old. And for me, that's that's super old. Shadows, bro, take it easy. Thanks for joining into the live stream. So what do you guys think about that price? Okay, so now it says $175. Let's click off that battery. I think that includes 2 batteries. Yeah, 2 batteries and the Cinewoop for $175. That's not too bad. If you could say no batteries, if you already had batteries, then you're looking at $139.99. That's much better than $190. So the way it sets up when you come in here, analog version 2, 4S A50 is going to cost you $175. Actually, they had the R81 receiver selected, so that makes it $192. I would say no, and then uncheck the batteries. You probably get batteries from somewhere else. Buy some tattoos. But their batteries are pretty decent price, $19 for these batteries. It's not bad. You can do some add-ons too. You can get an extra VTX, an extra stack. Stack costs $58 for the AIO. That's not bad. I wonder if that's an HD version. Probably not. HD version is usually $80 to $100 for a 20x20. But that's about as cheap as you can get it right there, $139.99. And I don't know, there's a lot of quads out there right now that are that cheap. Unless it's going to be like something like an Eachine quad. And, you know, Darwin came out swinging with super cheap prices to try to get popular, and so far it seems to have worked. I feel like people have less problems with these than they have with some of the Eachine wizards out there. But the Eachine Wizard was one of the most popular selling quads of all time. I think they sold more of that quad than even like Gap RC Mark V, Mark IV. Now the one thing I'm not sure I'm super keen on with this quad is the camera. The camera's an ant. If you just look at the specs on that, let's go back. It's an F4 flight controller, which is a budget flight controller at this point. F7's more expensive. The prop guards look decent. The carbon looks okay. I wouldn't say it's iFlight or Gep RC quality or STP quality or Axis quality. It doesn't appear to be beveled either, so it's not really high polish on it. It's not beveled, but it's budget. It's cheap. So here are the specs we were looking for. 3 to 4S 30 amp, S-bus inverter, soft serial, 1504 3600 kV motors, 4S A50 of course. So we're going to get 9 minutes flight time. That's not bad. Yeah, it's a CADX Ant. That's, yeah, we're right. Is what it is on that. But we'll see how the quality is. I'm going to use my my trusty old Sky Zones analog setup for that. And we're going to do some flying today. So it appears. It flies. Just took a dive off the bench. But you saw it, folks. Hovered on camera. Let's go. So it should be pretty stable in 4S. I feel like it's probably going to fly a little more stable indoors than if you're running like 6S on a Cinnabot indoors. Can be kind of wild without a little bit of throttle limit. So this will be a little less aggressive. And it's got a much smaller motors than the Cinnabot. But the Cinnabot does great outdoors. Just got to slow it down a lot. Inside, change your camera angle way down to almost horizontal. That's looking good. So you guys have any last questions before I hop out of the stream? I got to go do some flying for you guys. We're going to hook up the GoPro. We'll do that. I'll just do my full-size GoPro and see what kind of flight time we get. I've got 2 batteries over here that I'm going to fly. I'm going to test that on 1100, and I'm also going to test that at 1500. I have 2 1500 HV batteries from Axis Flying. Back when they did the X8, everybody complained about a 2-minute flight time. They released a new battery, and they sent me 2 of them. So we're going to fly that on this quad. And that's the battery I'm talking about. So if you guys got any final questions, let me know. I got some flying to do, boys. I got to edit to work on. I appreciate all your support. I got to tell you, if you guys are still here, very impressed with you guys the last couple weeks and the amount of support that you've given me as well. We're just trying to give back, help the community, do giveaways, videos like the new acronyms video that came out today. That was a total labor of love, and that was pretty difficult to do. And that's an ongoing project and a resource repository that you can go to on dronecamps.com. You can check out. Anytime you want to learn something about FPV, you can go there. And I'm pretty certain that even the smartest guys on this channel, including Luis is he's our Bardwell, our resident Bardwell on Drone Camps. Sure, some stuff he could brush up on there as well, and some stuff that I brushed up on. So looking up all these acronyms from tons of different sources out there, and also adding a ton of my own into this collection. And there's more that I still have to add. The stick-ins, these stick-ins are, I call them thumb couches, and they're freaking awesome. You can get them from a company called Bestem Aerial. That's spelled B-E-S-T-E-M Aerial. I think they're on Amazon. I think you can order these off Amazon, about $5 a set. And they're the most comfortable stick-ins, thumb couches that you can get. These have spades on them. Freaking love these. I left this radio in a rental car in Sacramento, California, about 3 months ago, and I didn't get this radio back for 2.5 months, and it came back with like all kinds of broken switches. But we were out in Tahoe, and we went back to the airport. We were in a rush, and this was sitting in the back window of our Turo, and the guy was kind enough to send it back. But by the time I got it back, it was missing 4 switches on here. But at least I got this radio back, and I got my Crossfire module back, and my thumb couches here. And this is my daily driver radio. People are asking recently on Bardwell's channel, like, are you going to switch over to the Boxer, Bardwell? Him and I prefer this one. We prefer the TX16S. It's just, I like a full-size radio. I'm weird like that. I like a full-size radio. I also like this screen. I don't want to go back to looking at LCD. I don't like it. And this one's also upgraded with Edge TX, and it has touchscreen on here. So that's super cool. Eventually, maybe we can get an FPV feed through that screen, which would be pretty amazing. I think I saw someone recently doing that, but it may have been just a thumbnail that someone created on a video. They wanted me to click. So we're going to test out these 1500s, the 1100s. I'm not going to do an 850 because, why would I? These are about the same size, maybe a tiny bit wider. I'm going to go 1100 on my test. So 1100, 1500 for a long flight. If you're going to freestyle this quad, I don't know why you would, but then you can use an 850 or a 650. Make it lighter, take the camera off, just enjoy some freestyle with this quad. I'm pretty sure it'll freestyle. You could power loop it. But let me know in the chat if you have any final questions, any concerns with anything coming up, or something you want to know, some information that I can give you. Let me know. If you guys want to become my Patreon for some of the information that we give out on the channel, well, pretty much daily, all week long, and sometimes on the weekends. So some weeks I do 6 days a week. Been doing 6 days a week for a long time. This year we're on our 9th year on the channel, so it's pretty epic. At this point, I'm kind of like the Grateful Dead. I just keep trucking, keep going. I'm a little bit like a little bit obsessed. I can't stop thinking about quads and RC stuff. I'm one of those people. I'm up late at night, sitting in bed, still looking at my phones, trying to see what's coming out or what's new. Or just check up on my messages from manufacturers. A lot of the messages come through late because morning in China is around 11 to 12 a.m. West Coast time, United States. I feel sorry for Bardwell and those guys on the East Coast because when China starts messaging him, it's about 3 a.m. So he may get up around 6, 7 in the morning to be able to message China and make their day before those guys go home. But we'll post out some links tomorrow in the review. I'll give you an honest review as well, as always. We got some haters saying that we don't do honest reviews. Those haters don't obviously watch the channel. Oh, punks. And you ever notice something about haters? Haters are the people that come into the hobby. They've been here for maybe they've been here for 3-4 years. Maybe they've been here for 3 months. But everybody seems to be an expert, and people speak before they think. That's the kind of people that type negative stuff on the internet. There's a lot of that out there. There's a lot of people, and it used to be speak before you think, but now it's type before you think. People just fast to type some dumb stuff. And I used to chase people around and try to correct, like, I thought someone was wrong, but now I just don't give a damn. I told someone the other day I'm a little bit thick-skinned, like Trappy. Trappy used to cuss people out. I try not to stoop to that level, but I ain't taking no crap anymore from anybody. Because we have a good time, and we're for the benefit of the hobby, as always. And if I'm wrong, correct me. drop a comment in the chat or on a review. I always read them. I can go back and fix any mistakes or let people know. That's what we're here for. Our community is tight. I appreciate that. If you want to send me any links, you have to send it to my email. Tyler. Or Tiger FPV. Yeah, to email me any links if you have flight video or something like that. Might change that coming up, but right now it's kind of nice not to be spammed by some of the bots. We got the XXX bots. Maybe he tried to post a link to the stick-ins. I believe they're about $5 for those. Just gonna check out what else is in the box here. I have another 7-inch here that we're gonna review as well. I almost set that one up this morning with you guys, but I'll save that for another stream. Now, I'm pretty sure at this point most of the people in the chat, I may be wrong, you know how to set up a quad. If you don't know how to set up a quad, let me know. I'd love to help whoever I can. Man, putting this extra strap in here is kind of tight. Kind of tight in there. I don't know if that's going to work out. Might have to just go one strap. I have to take this whole thing apart to get a strap through there. I ain't doing that. Forget that. We're just going to use one strap. I was actually talking to a manufacturer. If you guys would like, I'm going to try to have some of these made. And I think I'm going to make them up with DC on one and RC on the other. So DC, RC. Maybe we'll do some spades. I like the spades design. It's pretty cool. I have another set that's white. It has a DJI Phantom on it, but I try to keep those in the drawer. Try not to looking for no sympathy from no one. Nick Rich. I hear you. I don't need sympathy. But I'm always diplomatic. If you guys go look at chat, anywhere out there in the interwebs, you'll see that I usually pretty damn diplomatic, even with the idiots. I don't know why I try to reason with people sometimes. Maybe it's just the way I came up, the way I was brought up. Raised to be polite. But the world is not so polite, you know? So sometimes you got to deal with ignorance. The best for pinchers, stick-ins. I think the best type of sticks for pinchers is probably just a standard stick-in like these. They have a little bit of spiky edge to it, but not enough that it sticks you. These stick-ins on the TX16S are pretty good. So these are by Radio Master. I hate it when they're super long, pointy stick-ins that kind of stick your fingers. I've had some make me bleed before because they were manufactured too tall and too sharp. They just sharpen them too much and become dangerous. But I feel like this is a good size for holding on to. But you wouldn't use these if you're a pincher. I'm not sure you'd want to pinch like that. I mean, maybe you could, just a little bit wide. But that'd be up to you. Depends on your flying style. Water off a duck's back, that's right. It's funny, the internet is so flashbang. You know, it's about a 24-hour rotation. I feel like it's even shorter now. Like, someone reads a news article, you're like, wow. And then you go get a cup of coffee and you forget about what the hell you read. I think we've become so, you know, like bombarded by data. It's crazy. That's why YouTube's nice, though. Sometimes I just want to sit and watch something or listen to something, like a podcast. I like Joe Rogan. He'll talk to anybody. Just for fun. Everybody's got different opinions, so why not? If you got a crazy story, tell it. Come on the channel. Doesn't even have to be about FPV. Just come on here and talk some wild stuff. Just don't be offensive. Don't be an a-hole. But $139 for this one right now, guys. Probably one of the cheapest analog quads out there. Right now, everything seems to be like a 5-inch and around $300 for a bind and fly. It's pretty expensive. But then you're talking about top companies for bind and fly. And on the topic of the Avata update, using your phone with the Avata now. After the update, I have yet to update mine. I have 2 Avatas sitting over there, and I'm not sure I'm going to update them yet. I think I'm going to keep them right where they are so I don't have to do my phone on it. Because that sucks. I don't want to carry my phone around and have to have a full phone battery to fly my DJI quad, especially FPV quad. You can look up some stick-ins on thingiverse.com. So Google Thingiverse, and some people in there will print stuff for a fee, and you can have them printed and sent to you. TPU. We have some cool stuff coming up too. Some of you guys might not know this if you weren't listening to a particular stream that I did a while back, but behind the scenes we've been working on something for the Avata coming up, a very special frame design, and that's in testing right now, testing phase. So that's going to be epic. So I'm going to take one of my Avatas, I'm going to convert it over to this new frame that we've been working on. I did some drawings for it initially, and engineers from another company put their own ideas into it, and they do all the CAD work. I don't do the CAD work. I'm like a monkey with a pencil. But that was a collaboration project. I don't know if they'll give me any kudos for that or not, but that's okay. As long as you guys get in the community and it makes your Avata better and not worse, then that's worth my time. But that's going to be super cool. I think that's probably going to be, I can't say from who or where, but sometime after Chinese New Year. Be looking for that. So if you have an Avata, you can start rejoicing. But that's what everybody wants, and I'm so surprised that another manufacturer hasn't hopped on that and given us a frame yet. I don't know what people are waiting on for that, but maybe it's just too complicated. I don't know. Maybe they just think it's not worth the sales price. Because how much can you really charge for a frame? But I don't feel like it's any more complicated than creating a 5-inch frame, honestly. You're just dealing with that little slide and click in battery. But we have a way to make that happen without having to reinvent the wheel and make that frame much stronger. But the other option to the Avata, I mean, any of these Cine Whoops are an option, honestly. I was going to say iFlight Defender 25. It looks similar to the Avata, but it's not an Avata by any means. Don't have the VAS on there. Oh, that's another acronym I need to add to the list, VAS. Or VPS, Visual Positioning System. And that thing works great. The auto braking on the Avata, it's amazing. I love it. So it's about 1 o'clock now, guys. If you have any final questions in the live chat, let me know. Q&A for the next 2 minutes, and then we're gonna dip. Because I got some flying to do. Got charged batteries. Got a quad that's working with stability mode. We're gonna do some GoPro Hero 10 on that baby. And maybe I'll do a freestyle flight with a lighter battery as well with this one. Again, I'm not going to really do an 850 on that. I'm just going to go 1100. It's a little better flight time, especially for freestyle, because I'm going to be pushing that battery. But again, guys, please use our links if you're going to buy something. It helps keep this channel going. And all of us really need it right now. So even if you're going to buy some props, I appreciate that. If you need some advice on buying something as well, just send me an email. Go to my website, dronecamps.com. I have a contact page. You can send me an email directly if you have questions or you just need some advice. I'm happy to help. If I don't get back to you, email me again. I may have missed your email. We need a special email directly for tech support. That's what we need to get going. I think I'm going to create an email just for that, for you guys. I think that would be beneficial for you guys. Okay, so I don't see any new chat coming through. Maybe there's some lag. But if you have any final questions, put them there in the chat now, guys. Okay, we got one from Steve coming in. Steve Soretta. What's my thoughts on the stock tune for the ProTech 3.5? It's been so long, Steve, since I flew the ProTech 35. I think it's been like a year or so. And I had 2 different ones. They sent me a 6S version, which was a prototype that they decided not to release because they said it could fall from the air at any moment. I held on to it. And the 4S one, though, mine was okay. I flew the crap out of it. Go back and watch that review, Steve. I really don't think it had a bad tune on it. Bardwell hit like a post, a stairwell in his house, and broke his prop guards. But you hit a banister with any quad, you're going to break something, for Christ's sake. I love you, JP. But it's a heavy quad. It's a heavy quad, but I pounded the crap out of it. You know, Steve, also watch that review, because in that review, I believe there is some DVR footage. Most of the time, my reviews, I try to show some DVR footage that shows you the recorded FPV camera, and that way you can really see a tune on a quad. These guys that only show you GoPro footage, you know, that may be hiding like the fact that the quad has jello. Because once you only see this, there's no way to tell what the tune's like on the quad for the review. So it's kind of point and null on a review if you only show GoPro footage. And even sometimes with a really bad tune, you can see vibrations on a GoPro, which then you know it's pretty terrible. But speaking of tunes, one last thing, Chimera 7 Pro V2 with the O3 on board. Some people reported jello on that. Some people report jello on the other axis flying, more jello on the axis flying. Not the axis flying, the so many 7-inches out right now. The Fox Air one. I can't even remember what the hell it's called. But I will try to work on some tunes for you guys and post those in Google Docs, and you guys can download it in the CLA. You can dump it into your 7-inch. So if you have a 7-inch that needs a tune, let me know. And it's likely that I have it. I have all the newest 7-inch, including the folding version of Axis Flying Squad for 7. That one's got an air unit on it, so I'm going to be flying that one very soon on the channel as well. But again, I want to try to do some special tune on the Chimera 7 V2. So if you have one, or it might translate over to your V1 if you have that one too. But different motors need fairly different tunes. So that can change a quad's PID tuning, unfortunately. But that's all the information for today, guys. Hopefully you learned something, got some of your questions answered, and take care, you guys. I will see another bench episode coming up soon. Just randomly, we'll start streaming in the morning sometime, so you can catch us here for a morning stream, kind of bench talk, FPV news, and some coffee, and some general misbehaving. But I will see you guys on the next one. Take care. Have an awesome day. And again, I appreciate all you guys so much.